Coming up in today's episode, ever wondered why finding the right therapist is an absolute game changer? Well, buckle up, because in today's episode, we're diving deep into the crucial reasons why working with a qualified therapist can transform your life. Whether you're navigating personal challenges, seeking growth, or just aiming for a happier, healthier you, stick around, because we're about to uncover the incredible impact a skilled therapist can have on your journey to mental well-being. Don't miss out on the insights that could shape your perspective. Hit that subscribe button, follow the show, and let's get started on this empowering exploration together. Welcome to a special collaboration on the Aspiring Psychologist podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Marianne Trent, qualified clinical psychologist, and today I'm joined by the brilliant Dr. Tara Quinn-Cirillo from the Adversity Psychologist podcast as we team up for a joint episode. Exciting. Together, we're delving into a topic that impacts us all: finding a qualified therapist in the UK. Join us as we unravel the importance of this journey and share invaluable insights on navigating the world of mental health professionals. Whether you're an aspiring psychologist or someone seeking guidance, this conversation is packed with wisdom. Stay tuned for a thought-provoking discussion that might just change the way you approach your mental well-being. Let's dive in. I want to welcome you back, Tara, to the Aspiring Psychologist podcast. And then, of course, this is a dual episode.
Nice to have you and me together again. It's lovely to see you. Thanks for having me.
It is. So if people are listening from Aspiring Psychologist podcast, we met in August 2022 when we were thinking about the kind of tricky issues of people being appropriately qualified to do what they say they can do, weren't we?
Absolutely. It's that long ago, isn't it? So a little tiny seed has now grown into a wonderful thing to try and help people understand a bit more about that.
It has. What has our seed grown into, Tara?
Oh, this is so exciting, and I can't believe we're actually going to say it. So we have written a book to help people understand. There's kind of two parts, really, aren't there? A little bit more about being qualified and regulated as a talking therapist in the UK, but also to help you understand some things to look out for if you are going to be searching for a therapist or supporting someone else who's going to be searching for a therapist as well.
Yeah, and it is important because it's something that my friends and family ask me, if I want to find somebody, how do I even go about kind of wading through this quagmire? What do I look for? How do I
Absolutely.
make sure someone is going to be safe and okay?
Absolutely. And if it's all right to say, one of the things that we've learned, and we thought we were quite well versed in who's who and what professional bodies they're with, there's a lot of little gaps. So we've worked quite hard to inform ourselves in order to be able to inform the public, haven't we? It's not that easy to just go and find a therapist. There are so many terms and they're so interchangeable. It can be a bit of a difficult path to navigate. And for most people who might be looking for a therapist, you might already be feeling quite unwell. So that's an extra barrier to get over as well. So I think that's why this book means a lot to us. Because we want to help people make that journey as easy and as safe as possible, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And I think sometimes just trying to, find that last bit of energy in the tank to find someone, almost interview them, make sure they're going to be a good fit for you, can be exhausting. And I don't know about you, but I've had experiences where some of my clients now have been burned from getting the wrong therapist for them. And then it's taken them years to kind of lick their wounds and then come back to it again. So this is why getting it right first time, or certainly at the time that you're looking for, that's why it matters, isn't it?
Yeah. We talk about therapist fit a lot, don't we? So I always like to think of that on two levels. So there's the fit between you and the individual. Is it someone you feel comfortable talking to? Is that person the right person for you personally? Because I sometimes work with people and the fit isn't right, and that's okay. But there's also that second level that actually, is this person safe? Are they using a robust model? Are they qualified in what they say they are? Can you look them up? That's the safety stuff. That's the risk stuff. That's the kind of foundation for me. And if you can have help with that, then you can start to look at, well, actually, is the fit okay? And I think that's why our book's quite helpful, because we're not just looking at where do you go to find people, but we're helping people understand a bit more about those concepts, aren't we? And hopefully making that journey a little bit easier for them as well.
We certainly are. And, it's been a joy to work with you on this project. You've been
It's been
so
lovely working on
responsive.
this. It's
You've had to
just been
chase me a
lovely.
little bit here and there.
Well, when we're both running busy practices, we both do all sorts of other things as well. We both, I think the kind of common ground, if it's all right to bring that in the podcast, is we like to get good, ethical, qualified information out to the public on all things emotional health, don't we? So this kind of came for us from some of that other work as well, that, we both do media work. This means a lot to us. This isn't just about writing a book and getting information out there. We care about people and we want them to have the right and the safe journey as well, don't we?
We do. I passionately care about people living distress-free lives and being able to feel better, have that adaptive healing method that means
Absolutely.
that life doesn't feel like such a struggle. And I guess that's the bit that I want people to hang on to, because some people might feel like this is elitist. This is not us saying you must see a qualified psychologist. It's not that for me at all. It's make sure you know what you're getting and that someone is the right person to see you.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up, because as psychologists, and we're both psychologists, different types of psychologists, which is also helpful for people to understand, this is not about elitism at all. This is about us wanting to help protect the public, because when you listen to this podcast now, what does the word therapist mean to you? It can mean so many different things. We're talking about talking therapy specifically, but even within talking therapy, there are so many different types of practitioners, counsellors. And we want to help people learn a bit more about that. And post-pandemic, we've got a mental health crisis in the UK. So more and more people we know that are reaching out. Where are they going? On top of that, we've got a digital age now. So more and more people are offering things online and in different formats. That's a lot to navigate, even since I started my career 20 odd years ago. So where do you go? Where do you start? And sometimes if that seems really overwhelming, my concern is that people might not start that journey. They may not reach out because it just seems too much. So we're hoping, aren't we, that this book might be bought by people like GPs, people that are going to be supporting people who might want to also look up a therapist, not just that individual member of the public. So if we can hopefully through our book educate more professionals, get more conversations like this going. So we've liaised with different agencies that are in the book, haven't we? And the fact that we can all work together to help people understand a bit more about this, and starting conversations that's what we can do. We can all do that, and we're doing it right now, aren't we?
Well, you're a master at that, obviously, with your conversation starter project, but that's another little passion project for you that has really grown beautifully in 2023. So just in case people are listening, they're like, I don't know what that is. This is where Tara set up with a friend and colleague of hers, that people could just meet and walk and talk and have conversations, and it's grown to something beautiful. But so back to the book. What have we called it, and where can people get it?
What is our book called? It's called Talking Heads. It's your guide to finding a qualified therapist in the UK, and hopefully you will be able to find it on Amazon. Super easy. Hopefully you'll be able to tell your friends and your family about it. We're hoping it's a really easy read, a nice, easy, digestible book broken down into some really easy read sections, and something again that people can just start conversations about. There's this book, read it, or I've read this in a book. Let's share that with people. And we're really pleased, actually, aren't we, about it? Sometimes it's hard when we've all got busy lives, we're both parents as well, to try and get something completed, getting an idea completed. But it just shows when something really matters, you can do that, can't you?
Yeah, and it felt like launching it in January is kind of a really good time, because often people might be having New Year's resolutions. They might be thinking, what would I want to be different this time next year? Mental health and kind of wellness goals are kind of common in that. And so it felt like a really important time to launch this book.
And I think as well, the media started to talk a little bit more about the mental health crisis we have in the UK, but also we're seeing more and more, and we've had some messages as well ourselves, haven't we, in conversations with people who have maybe seen someone that they've had concerns about, or are just noticing that there's more and more options available to manage your mental health. The rise of coaching in the UK, for example, is something really important to bring in here. And we just want to help people to navigate all of that information. And when better than at the start of the year? Sometimes after Christmas can be a tricky time for many people, actually. Might be a time where people start to reflect, as you say, make some resolutions, or just think about where they might want to make some life choices. So perfect time to have a guide to help you with that journey.
Yeah, and I know when I was working in the NHS, sometimes people would say, well, if I wanted to find a qualified private therapist, where would I go? At which point you're not really supposed to make recommendations. So this might be a really nice kind of signpost to say, actually, there's this that's available that can help you through that process. Because this is not it's not a high cost price. It's not even particularly long as a book. You know, it's just getting this out there as a robust and valid and useful information source.
Absolutely. And again, we both have background in the NHS, don't we? And sometimes there can be these barriers, understandable ones, to being able to signpost people in the right direction. But it is really hard, though, because sometimes that leaves people in uncertain places, and people would know I am Mrs. Risk Averse. I don't like people being left in a situation where they may end up seeing someone who could put them at risk, put their mental health at risk. And we both know that there are people out there who are offering services that would come under the umbrella of mental health who should not be doing that. And we're big and bold, aren't we? We don't mind starting conversations about that. So, this isn't about bashing people. It's just about making the public aware that some titles for some therapists in the UK are not protected, and that anybody can set themselves up as certain types of therapists or talking therapists in the UK, which is mind-blowing when you think about it. And some people, if it's okay to say, can hide behind certain names, and we might not question those names because they have power behind them. So part of the book is helping also to deconstruct some of those titles, helping people learn a little bit more about how people can operate, so you can spot it, so you can be brave and ask those questions about who you're seeing, what their qualifications are, who they are regulated with, who's keeping an eye on the work that they do, and what that could look like. So we both know, don't we, that on websites sometimes people can have logos that look super fancy, look like they're a member of an organization, but actually they are not. So we've put some information in there, haven't we, to help people navigate that, which for me is a really, really important part of why we're doing this.
It really is. It's just about safety, integrity, ethics, and what we think about as efficacious treatment, stuff that actually gets results, that helps people achieve their goals, whatever that might be.
Yeah. And for some people, it's a huge thing, isn't it, to notice that something isn't okay with your emotional health, to think about taking that big, bold, and often vulnerable step to find someone to talk to. For people that haven't been through that journey before, it can be a little bit daunting talking to a stranger about your kind of inner thoughts, your inner feelings. And we want to make sure that people are doing that in a way that's supportive and protective for them. Because as you quite rightly pointed out at the beginning of the podcast, it can be damaging for some people, and that damage can take time to repair, and sometimes it's irreparable. So we want to really help people on that journey. So we're both super ethical, aren't we? We care about people. That's where this book is coming from. And I'm hoping that anybody who's listened to this podcast, whether you are someone who is thinking of reaching out for therapy yourself or supporting someone you know, or whether you're someone who's in an organisation where you regularly maybe get asked to signpost people, those are the people that we also want to tap into as well.
In a nutshell, what do we want people to experience from this?
So my background and passion is working in learning disability services. And one of the things that I learnt working with that wonderful client group is about making informed choices, helping people to have the right information to then weigh it up and make the best choice for them. So with this book, we are providing you with the information and the understanding you need about how talking therapists can operate in the UK in order for you then to go and check the person or persons that you're looking at, to begin also, second really important point, to have conversations, to be bold and ask them. So if you can take one little nugget from this, if you're looking up someone, getting to the point where you're going to book an appointment, ask them, how do I find out who you're registered with, and actually go and look them up. That's the really important thing, being okay with having tricky conversations.
Absolutely. So obviously the beauty of a podcast episode is that it's not just for the week that it's launched. It's an eternal, beautiful beast, But given that this is, January, what would be your hopes or wishes or kind of advice for how our listeners can have a gentler journey in 2024, Tara?
What would I like for people in 2024? I would like people to be more compassionate to themselves if they are struggling, to be okay with having conversations. Those conversations can be a huge help to you, to others. They can be that first stepping stone to feeling better about yourselves. And as you said quite rightly, Marianne, we're all about people feeling better, aren't we? That doesn't always have to be in a clinical setting. We can start daily conversations. I'd like more of that in 2024. Checking in on people. How are you? How are you really? Following it up and waiting for that response. That's my top thing.
Oh, that's so nice.
Sound better?
Yeah.
I do that more now. I do it in my own life. How are you on the school path? And I'm still walking, and now making that effort to either not ask if I can't stop, or to go, how are you really? And I've got time to listen. Or shall we make time? It really makes such a big difference, doesn't it? I always use the school path metaphor for all of that stuff, that we ask, hi, how are you? And we're still walking. We don't stop. And
maybe we just say hi then. Yeah, if we know we haven't got time
that's
to
my
stop,
thing now. If I haven't got time
hi.
to ask, I don't ask now. It's really made a big difference. Or if I notice someone, I'll be like, we should catch up.
It's been so lovely chatting with you. Thank you for welcoming me back to your audience, and thank you for sharing your time with my audience too. Looking forward to what 2024 brings for you. Thanks for being such a lovely part of my 2023, and providing all this wonderful content that you do absolutely for free, often for the people that are in your life, and may 2024 be prosperous for you and for everyone you care about.
Feelings are very mutual. People need to hear more about Marianne and the fantastic work you do, and the fantastic person that you are as well.
Thanks, Tara. That's really kind. So looking forward to, I'm sure we'll chat again on our podcast in future. If people did want to check out Talking Heads, your guide to finding a qualified therapist in the UK, they can do that by checking the links in our show notes, on our socials, or by going straight to Amazon. Thank you so much for your time, Tara.
A pleasure as always.
And that's a wrap for this eye-opening episode of both the Aspiring Psychologist podcast and the Adversity Psychologist podcast. A huge thank you to our fantastic co-host, Dr. Tara Quinn-Cirillo, for joining me, Dr. Marianne Trent, in this insightful conversation on finding qualified therapists in the UK. If you have found value in today's discussion, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the Aspiring Psychologist podcast and the Adversity Psychologist podcast for more great content, and share your thoughts in the comments. If you're listening on MP3, please do subscribe to the shows. Please also check out the other recommended videos which are on screen if you're watching on YouTube now. Remember, your mental health journey is uniquely yours, and the right therapist can make all the difference. Stay tuned for more engaging episodes, and until next time, take care of yourselves. Thanks for being part of my world.